Well, after 7 days of questioning, we have now reached a milestone. Judge Deborah Nelson announcing to the courtroom they have reached the necessary 40 potential juror pool in order to move on to the next round of traditional questioning. Let's bring in News 13 legal analyst Jaya Balani for more. So, Jaya, explain to us what's going to happen next.
Now what they're going to do is they're going to bring in the whole pool. They're going to start speaking to them about their prior jury experiences, their prior contact with law enforcement. They'll ask them whether or not, if a law enforcement officer comes up on the stand, whether they believe that law enforcement officer rather than a lay witness. They're going to start delving more into their biases regarding different aspects and different parts of the jury, whether or not if the defendant testifies, if they'd hold that against him. They're going to ask each juror and see if they understand what the standard is in this case, and if they understand that he is presumed to be innocent going into this trial until the state proves otherwise.
All right, Jaya. So at this point, we were kind of doing the numbers here. We had 40 potential jurors who have been retained. 18 were dismissed. And Jaya, also looking at the numbers, they have got 10 peremptory strikes for each side as well as cause. So break down how this is going to happen if they can indeed pick a jury from these 40 potential jurors that's in this pool.
After they do a lot of the questioning, each side is going to go back and forth whether or not they're going to have a strike on each side. If one side, say for instance the defense likes a juror, then the state doesn't like them, they are stricken. Sometimes there's going to be issues whether or not they're striking them for race or they're striking them for other reasons, and they have to have more reasons and more cause for it. Once they get down to the potential 6 jurors and the 4 alternates, that's their jury.
All right, something interesting we just noticed here, Jaya. We were paying attention to the 9 potential jurors that were questioned today. We had 3 that we thought might be off the list, 2 because of hardships. Turns out those hardships weren't hardships at all. One of the potential jurors who says she was 5.5 months pregnant is going on to round 2. Also another juror who says that she cannot get paid if she's doing jury duty is also moving on to round 2. So very interesting that they decided that was not enough of a hardship to let them go. All right, I think we're seeing a little bit of activity in the courtroom. Jaya, please stand by. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Let's go back inside the court. We are continuing with our gavel-to-gavel coverage of the George Zimmerman trial. They have finally reached 40 people who could potentially make up the jury pool for this case in order to decide who will be the 6th that will decide George Zimmerman's fate. Right now they are in a sidebar trying to take care of some housekeeping business. They've got a lot to get to tomorrow. Tomorrow they're going to start the traditional line of questioning for jury selection at 9 a.m. But don't forget, they still have that Fry hearing. That's hanging out there. The state still has to call their rebuttal witness, Mr. Owens, for questioning tomorrow about the 911 analysis. That's going to start at 4 p.m. So if they do not finish questioning the 40 potential jurors tomorrow, they will continue again on Thursday. They're now in a sidebar trying to work out a few things. Let's bring in our News 13 legal analyst, Jaya Balani, who's been standing by. Jaya, we've kind of been looking at the numbers here of the jury pool. Want to get your take on it. So far, by our counts, we have 24 women and 16 men who were chosen that they're going to decide who is going to be in the jury. Do you think that might play a role in the importance of who gets picked? Will man versus woman make a difference for either side?
Sometimes it does. I don't know if it necessarily will make a difference in this type of case. In certain cases, it definitely does make a difference. What they're going to want to look at, though, now is mainly their biases to law enforcement, to different aspects of the case, and whether or not they feel pro-law enforcement, they are going to listen to it, whether or not they've been on a jury before. Even if their family's been arrested before, if they've been arrested before. These are things that the state and defense already know, but sometimes it makes a difference in how they're going to decide a case. So I think that's going to be the biggest determining factor, not so much the gender.
Well, let me ask you this. There's been a lot of attention, Jaya, placed on what the racial makeup of this jury will be. Obviously, this has got some racial undertones to this case. Looking at the numbers again, of the 40 that have been picked, 27 were white, 13 non-white or minorities. What do you think about that number breakdown?
That is going to make a big difference in the case because the state's going to want one race over another race, same with the defense. If they're going to use a cause strike to try to get rid of a certain race, they're going to have to give a reason that's a race-neutral reason. They can't just, the state just can't strike somebody because they don't want them. They have to give a race-neutral reason.
Absolutely. And Jaya, it sounds as if during this pre-publicity line of questioning for these jurors here, it seemed like it took quite a bit of time, about averaging around 32, 33 minutes per juror over the 7 days. It took a lot of time. You've told us usually it takes about a day to pick a jury. It seems as if Judge Deborah Nelson is talking as if this might go a lot quicker, saying if we don't get through the 40 tomorrow, then we'll have to go to Thursday. Should we expect for this second portion of the jury selection process to be faster?
I definitely believe this will be a lot faster. They're going to have it as a whole group now, so there's a way to ask and question everyone as a whole. They can say who here believes or who here knows that George Zimmerman's to be presumed innocent, and everyone can raise their hand or say yes, instead of asking each person individually, which tends to take a lot more time. There's a lot more things they can accomplish as a group instead of repeating themselves. As you seen during this phase, they've repeated the same questions. What station are you listening to? And what have you heard about the case? And what do you believe about this? Where now as a whole group, people can tend to say yes or no as a group. One person can listen, can agree. If someone disagrees, then they can delve into those line of questionings a little bit further, but sometimes that won't be necessary when you're asking certain questions.
Very interesting, Jaya. That makes so much sense, because the judge did say we're going to bring them all in and sit them in the jury box, and that kind of triggered. I said, well, they've been bringing in one by one, but this will be a little bit different. Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Jaya. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. But right now, while they are still in a sidebar, we want to get a check of our weather.
Welcome back to our continued.
Some of the other potential jurors that we were hearing from today.